Today we will be launching a Crew Dragon capsule in the Kerbal Space Program to our newly built science station, which will be performing the station science, and yes, we will be doing a lot of it. So, it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna be testing the docking, and I'm gonna be showing everything, including the building and assembly of entire spacecraft, which will be very reminiscent to the standard Falcon 9, including also the launch of the aforementioned craft, and much more views, which you haven't seen before in this series. Yes, I think it's gonna be epic, because I'm gonna be using some mods that you might have not heard about. And also using some very cool views from the Kerbal Science Space Station, as well as, you know, trying to get a very cool look of Kerbin. Just look at that picture. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it glorious? So, with everything said, I promise you by the time episode is done, you will have at least once said, "Oh, come on, GrunfWorks, seriously?" Yes. Now, let's get into the building. We are gonna be starting, and while I was really curious and I really wanted to build, we already built the MLS. This time I really wanted to build a regular Falcon 9 rocket with the Crew Dragon capsule on it. And I think it's perfect because we need to dock this baby to the science station, and we need to be harboring some experiments. Namely, I think I'm gonna be taking the plant growth. Yes, however, we really do need to attach the heat shield, we need to attach, you know, the second stage. There's a lot of stuff that we need to build, but the rocket itself will be pretty simple and straightforward. If you have seen the Falcon 9, well, this is kind of it. But it's the first time that I'm trying to mimic it, so I've always used, you know, some components, but this is the first time that I'm gonna try and mimic it a little bit. Now, we're gonna be putting this bad boy at the bottom, the shield, and the plant growth experiments need to go inside, otherwise what is the purpose of the mission? Yes. By the way, guys, just a short note, thank you very much for helping me with my plane design. I have compiled a list of the tips that I want to be using, and maybe in the next episode I will be posting the results. Enough to say, the new craft, I've already experimented a little with it, and it's a little bit more stable, and it actually resembles the Swedish JAS 39 Gripen. So yeah, I thought it would be kind of cool to, you know, touch base on have a base on a real life aircraft design. So, but we'll see how it flies in the next episode. It's still gonna be testing, but you're gonna get your kudos, and you'll see how it goes. Anyway, while we're building this, I'm using the RCS Build Aid mod, and this RCS Build Aid mod tells me how much rotation. It will help me a lot when we will be doing the docking and rendezvous because of translation parameters. So when we'll be firing the translation thrusters, this craft is not gonna be, you know, rotating and whatnot. And many of you have asked me in the comments, which is this nicely organized list of parts that I'm using. Honestly, I've checked my mod list, I don't know. If any of you guys who are watching this video really knows what's the name of the mod that's showing this mod list, because for me it's kind of hard to say, please post it in the comments below. For me it's hard to say because I'm using over 100 and I think 20 or 150 mods. So really, to pinpoint every single one, I don't know, and majority of them have been added as a dependency of another mod. So I'm very conscious in terms of selecting some mods like Space Y, which is the SpaceX stuff, the Starship, the Tech Life Support, KW Rocketry, Procedural Wings. Those are the mods that I am using. Then you have the beauty mods like, you know, Planet Shine, you know, environmental enhancements, clouds, volumetric stuff, and all that stuff. That's intentional. Then you have another mods like, which would be like the Outer Planets mod, like Sarnas, Nadon, and all of those stuff. But on top of that, honestly, for the most part, I don't know all of the mods that I'm using. Maybe this is the janitor's closet or some part organizer. Anyway, if any of you knows, please help share it with the community in the comments below. I will be posting my mod list in the description of this video, so you can actually go and pick and choose. It's a direct dump from my CCAN, so hopefully it will be saying. And as you can tell, by this time we have already assembled our Falcon 9. It's kind of straightforward, it's not really too many parts on it, which is one of the things that I like. I typically tend to over-engineer my parts and they have too many, and then I'm playing, you know, a sideshow while everybody else is enjoying it in a regular speed, because I play my videos at 150% speed. So if you, when you're watching this episode, if it looks a little bit faster, I've accelerated to keep the pace up and to have it really nicely, you know, sort of in a sweet spot. The building I typically speed up 3.5 times so that you can still pick up the pace and stuff, you can see what's being built, while the flight is usually accelerated at 1.5 times, so 150% total. Yes, I really do love the passage of time and how beautiful Kerbin looks, and I have been using a lot of, you know, tech and science, but we really do have the Pigeon 9, and I really didn't want to call it Falcon 9, because I figured Pigeon 9 would be an ideal thing. Now, since this episode has been recorded before I was taking in all of your inputs, I'm adding random scientists and Kerbals, but starting off in 2 or 3 episodes, I will be adding the names of Kerbals that have, or people who have contributed with your comments with my plane design. So you guys are gonna be immortalizing the playthrough. For how long, I honestly don't know. If I play well, probably for long. If I don't, well, it could be for a single plane flight. Yes. Now, I think it's only fair. It's like, you know, justice. If I'm using your design, you will be piloting the stuff. Yeah, maybe that would be the way to go. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Okay, and I have added a couple of scientists because I need more scientists to be able to run the experiments, and one, since it's a plant growth, I want to add another farmer. Now, what do other professions do other than pilot, scientist, and engineer? I literally have zero idea. That's also probably some other mod that I've, you know, picked up along the way, but it is what it is. So let's launch. Now, idea is that we launch with 1 pilot and 2 scientists and a farmer, hopefully, because it's a plant growth. I hope we will have enough you know, processing power. So we're going to be putting Bob, we're going to be putting the Melson Kerman, and then we're going to be putting probably actually the biologist Dabro Kerman, because I'm thinking biologist is better than farmer, right? Biologist should be the scientist. Farmer is, you know, just, you know, old MacDonald had a farm. Now, the idea is that we are going to be rendezvousing with the Science Space Station, which is actually incoming. I've deliberately positioned it so, and off we go. Look how beautiful our Pigeon 9 rocket is going all the way up. And yeah, so we're going to be angling ever so slightly towards the horizon. I have throttled it a little bit down because 1.8 is around sweet spot of the thrust to weight that I'm willing to subject this rocket to. And we have everything is being piloted by Kiltless Kerman, who is one of my long-standing patrons. Thank you very much for your support, it is deeply appreciated. And if you would like to be included in my playthroughs, well, then you should be either a frequent commenter or a patron or a YouTube channel member. And then you might get your own Kerbal. You just have to tell me what is the, you know, whether you want a scientist or whatever. Anyway, yeah, look that beautiful plume and how it's being distributed. We are apoapsis wise already above the height for the Science Space Station, which is 105 kilometers, and we are going at 110 because I like to approach my stations from above, because that gives me some leeway in terms of how am I, you know, performing the rendezvous. And look at that. It looks like we are gonna be having a nice rendezvous on the sunny side, which is beautiful, because that will actually, this game gets really dark and I'm really bad with adding all of the lights. So having said that, I think it's gonna be really cool that we get a chance to experience all of this rendezvous and docking while being on the bright side of life, or Kerbin at least, that is. Now, this craft has one minor flaw, and that's total and utter lack of reaction wheels. So we are relying on the Crew Dragon here to completely use its reaction wheels when it comes to steering this damn thing. And it has very tiny, you know, tiny reaction wheels. They're totally minuscule. They are not able to steer this craft effectively, but it's okay. I mean, the moment I fire all of the engines, it's gonna be a blast. Pun intended. Yeah. Right. Okay, are we ready for the additional engine ignition? We have a total of 1300 meters per second to spare. Yeah, it's a little bit of a jolt. Sorry, you have to endure a little bit of a G-forces, which are kind of, you know, a lot, but it is what it is. We have okay staging, and then we have the second engine, and as you can tell, it's a lot less. Look at it go. It really looks nice, and I'm actually kind of enjoying this stock Pigeon 9 rocket. It's really cool. The reason why I'm calling it Pigeon, I'm not calling it a Flappy Bird. Well, I guess Seagull 9? I don't know. Sparrow 9? I don't know. Pigeon just sounds really cool. Right, okay. So, we have a rendezvous, which was gonna be on the sunny side of life, and we are gonna be probably kicking in the afterburners, and I'm gonna warp until we get to the position where we're supposed to be. However, what we should do is we should make sure that we open the hatch so that we can actually rendezvous. But let's warp to the position. There we go. So we have target. We will be crossing it 7.3 kilometers in 3 meters and 15 seconds. And those of you guys who are wondering what that mod is, that's better burn time. Just that you're wondering which is the mod next to the nav ball. Now, I can actually improve this approach, and I can improve it by pushing the app or pushing the yellow marker on top of the purple marker. Yellow marker is our heading and the purple is the target. And if those two are on top of each other, that means at some point in space, we are gonna have the rendezvous. We're gonna be passing right in front of it. And as you can tell, they're close, but they're not yet on top of each other. Now, we are going at the speed of 61 meters per second relative to target, which means we are approaching quite fast. So what I want to do, I want to decrease that velocity. So right now I'm pushing on this precise location to push away the yellow marker away from me and right on top of the purple retrograde reticule, as you can tell. With a relative speed of 39 meters per second, our approach to the target will be now 0.5 kilometers in 3 minutes, roughly. So that's the way I really want to pull up Navy Fish's docking indicator. And we're going to be opening up the shroud. We're going to make sure that we select from there. And now I have, for your convenience, accelerated to 3.5 speed. So 350%. So you don't need to wait as long as I did. The views are beautiful, but I mean, at some point it gets a little bit stale. So there we go. Our target is relative 33 meters per second. And as you can tell, I'm doing small burns to ensure that those two markers, yellow and purple, on top of the nav ball, which are both retrograde markers, are on top of each other. Which means we and the space station, if I don't decelerate, we're going to crash into each other. Or we're going to have a very, very near miss. Now, as it's approaching, I'm decreasing the target velocity to ideally 0.0 when it gets very close. Then I'm going to be aligning the docking ports using the Navy Fish docking indicator, and then we're going to be ditching the stage and performing the docking. And you might be saying, well, do you really want to ditch the stage this close? And you're absolutely right. I don't, but I haven't attached the probe to it, so I've been a total numbnuts. Right. Okay, so here we have the docking port, and this is a very, very beautiful screenshot for posterity. I don't know if I'm going to use that one. I just might. Now, having said that, we have the docking port targeted, and once we get closer, we're gonna be ditching the stage. So we are at target 0.0, so now we're gonna be aligning ourselves. Note that I'm still not using the RCS thrusters because I don't know how much of RCS fuel we have on this craft. So I'm really careful in terms of spending it when I really need it. So remember, the rocket like this is not balanced, so we need to stage to have a balanced rocket. So now the rocket is balanced, meaning if I push translate, it will translate without the rotation, and that's the goal. So first we're gonna be now looking at the docking indicator, orange pip in the middle and the whisker on the side on top of it, because that tells me how to perform. And now I'm using the I, K, J, and L to thrust transversely, and H and N to go towards the target, and N is away from the target. So now I'm using only the translation thrusters rather than the rotational ones. And that's what makes the docking procedure rather simple. If you haven't watched the rendezvous and docking tutorial, I guess this is as good as any, so might as well. Now note that orange is not perfectly in the center, it doesn't matter. Now the yellow marker that you're looking, the idea is that all of them should be right in the center. Now the yellow marker, when it has a dot inside, that means that we are going towards the target, while the cross means we're going away. You have the distances, and the C-val is the relative velocity between the ports, and here we're talking only the longitudinal velocity. So that's kind of important. What's our velocity relative to the target? Now, as we are closing in, and we are almost there, and the magnetic seal engages, and we are there. We have successfully docked to the space station. Time to perform science. Gather the eurekas, and then get the hell out of there. Yeah, we were gonna be also showing the return. Did I say that? Probably didn't. But yeah, we're gonna be covering that as well. Uh-oh. And here is one of my mistakes coming to bite me up the rear. And that's the floating stage going to crash into the station. Now, fortunately, the station has maneuvering thrusters, so I figured we're just gonna be thrusting a little bit orbit anti-normal, I think, which will make sure that it passes overhead of us, changes the trajectory by a little, so we shouldn't be too worried about it. Now, right, cool. Let's take the internal view. So this one is the free look IVA views, which I really think it's a really underappreciated mod. Just look how beautiful the Crew Dragon looks. I mean, I was wondering if you can actually press the buttons, and I'm looking at the free IVA. It apparently, there is the grab prop, but there isn't actually interact, and I'm guessing that's probably a little bit too much to ask. What I was hoping to be able is to actually press the exit button so that I could exit and go directly to the space station. Apparently it didn't want to work despite my best efforts. Now, if any of you have played with a free IVA, do let me know in the comments below. Was it the docking port that I put on top that prevented me for going out? But apparently I couldn't press anything. Maybe that's just a prop, so it looks kind of nice. I don't know. Or maybe I'm missing the raster prop monitor. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. I tried to actually go out, but in the end I just gave up, and I have decided to transfer the crew. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. I was really hoping that I could grab this. Anyway, so I went to the external view and I decided to transfer the crew using the regular old crew transfer. We have here transfer crew, and we're gonna be leaving Kiltless, I think, in the Crew Dragon, while we're gonna be transferring all the other ones. So Melson, you go back to the lab, and what do we have else? We have Dabro going back to the lab. Is that enough? Now let's see, what does the lab say? And look at this. The lab is actually has nice interior. I'm actually really liking it, and that's what I've been showing you at the beginning. So we can actually unbuckle and float freely and take this beautiful view of Kerbin. Honestly, this is a new perspective for me. Really, guys, I didn't expect to have this. So there are toothbrushes there, and we could actually go via the IVA outside. Now, I mean, technically it could kill some Kerbals because they don't have their helmets on, so I decided not to. But we can actually go and see if we can perform the science and start making Eurekas, because the station science mod works in a way you have to have scientists to generate Eurekas, and then you perform telemetry report, crew report, and everything else. So that's actually quite cool. Now let's see, is there anywhere where we could do perform all science? Where are the Eurekas gonna be happening? Control, RCS, what? Now let's transfer even the kiltless down there, because apparently we are having an issue of missing enough scientists. So there we go. Command, and we can actually run the stuff. Start research. Yes, that's the button I've been looking for. So we're going to be generating Eurekas, and it says Eurekas are full. Cool. That means we can actually perform the science experiments. Open and let us do the science. So what was the experiment? Was it plant growth, right? I just need to right click it. Come on, where is the experiment? Give it to me. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we have already done the experiment. Cool. Plant growth while in space near Kerbin. Nice. Okay, we can actually close this and we can think about the return, right? After all, this should be a cakewalk in the park. We have done this so many times, but this time while we're going, the return should be easy peasy, no problem whatsoever, right? Well, yes and no. And you're gonna see why in a short minute. So, let me just transfer all of the crew away back to the Rodan command pod. Yeah, apparently I've remembered that this is called Rodan. Yeah. Not pigeon, Rodan, whatever. I knew it was some kind of a rodent. Anyway, now, everything is there and we are gonna be decoupling. So, yeah, we are going on the dark side. Yeah, and I really want to see, can I undock? We can want control from there, and now let's go undock. Oh, it has camera? Activate camera? Okay, let's do undock. And then let's see, activate camera. How does that look? I never tried this. I'm really curious. What happens if I go and press activate camera? I just might look at it. Let's see. Oh, this is a docking camera. Sweet. Now I know what I'm going to be doing on my next docking. I'm not going to be using Navyfish's docking indicator. I'm going to be using this one. This is mighty cool. Amazing. Okay. Now let's deactivate the camera and let's take care of the return trip. Now the sharp-eyed among you might have already noticed why I wasn't so sure about the return, right? So at this point, if you haven't already seen, our Kerbals might be actually in quite a grave danger. Now, first off, we have a little bit of monoprop, which we're going to be used to deorbit. And we need to use it to reduce the periapsis to an acceptable level, and I'm thinking like 40-ish. So yeah, I'm gonna be using the RCS, and there we go. We just need to decrease our periapsis. And it has to go around 50-40-ish for us to return safely. So having said that, I'm really curious to see how that's gonna be happening. Right, okay, the periapsis is decreasing, so that's fine. We are actually maneuvering quite nicely, and in an ideal case, I would really like that we return quite close to the Kerbal Space Center. Yeah, periapsis of 50-ish, I think it should cut it pretty nicely. And we are using monoprop quite heavily, so I think that should be enough, right? 41 periapsis, there's no way we're gonna be bounced up again in space, because, yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. Now, let us accelerate until we start experiencing the re-entry, shall we? There we go, look at that beautiful thing. Look at that beautiful sunrise. Alright, and apparently we have hit the atmosphere, which is good. And now I want to turn your attention to one tiny oversight on my part. I've forgotten the parachutes. Yeah. So how are we gonna land this? I'm trying to think that we're gonna be using the retro thrusters of the Rodan command pod, the Super Dracos. Hopefully those will be enough so we don't crash and burn the horrible death, but it's gonna be a literally suicide burn. What I'm trying to figure out, why the hell this happened. Now guys, this started to do spin-offs for whatever reason I couldn't understand, and I really don't get it why. But all in all, this is how my re-entry looked, and that's why I skipped it a little bit so that you don't get dizziness, or if you have, epilepsy, so you don't actually suffer from it. I've accelerated all the way until we come very close, and then I fired my Super Draco engines, and didn't I promise you that by the end you're gonna be saying, oh come on GrunfWorks? Yeah, I did. But needless to say, our Kerbals are a little bit dizzy, but they are safely home back, and they have won some ribbons. So Kiltless didn't earn any because he's already been on cooler missions, but our other guys have earned them. And they're back too. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you liked today's video, and just before we leave, we're gonna be unlocking the next tier of research, which is gonna be, I'm thinking, hydroponics, because that one will unlock a longer ability to stay in space. That looks cool. Let's kick it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.